All right, we're going to move to new business. Estimated tax levy, tax year 2011.
So what you have in front of you is an estimated levy. The board does not take formal action on this. The resolution is just there because I always have Mary Ann draft resolutions for you. One more copy, I think it might be short. But we do not need to take board action on this tonight. Is that correct, Tim? This is just more or less to just review the estimated levy that they're going to see at the December meeting?
Yeah, this is just, it's informational. We can discuss it again at the committee of the whole if you want. It has to be approved at the December meeting because the levy has to be filed by the last Tuesday in December.
Okay.
So you have two examples here. I met with Tim this morning to review this. There's two ways of doing this. Business managers have a unique science where they sit in a room with no lights for hours and try to estimate exactly what our new property value is and our EAV, and to try to come out with an exact percentage of what type of increase we'll get in our extension. But there's also the second train of thought is that once you under levy, you'll never get that money back. So what I had Tim do is do a second worksheet of maybe a high hope levy of 3%. His original levy is 1.9, and that's probably close to what we'll end up seeing in our extension. But there could be a miscalculation on the county's perspective, or if something's missed or we want to make sure we account for that in our projections. So he has both a levy for 1.9% and then a general 3% tax extension. And then, Tim, I know you received some questions. If you want to explain this a little further and then touch on some of those questions.
Yeah, the final extension that the county puts through, which won't be until July or August, is based on the CPI from the prior year. That number is 1.5%. So we're putting our maximum levy without any new growth in property is 1.5%, which is a CPI for 2010. So that's the number that we use to calculate the initial calculation of this levy. You also get to levy for any new property, new construction, things of that nature that come online, which in our district have ranged anywhere from $1 million up to, I think a couple of years ago, $6.6 million. So you want to put through a levy that's high enough that you're capturing that new growth. And as Kevin said, what I did is I went through and I looked at the average for the last 7 years and kind of came up with a number and said if we levied 1.9%, I feel that we're going to capture that new growth. If we levy at 3%, it's not that the tax bills are going to be any higher to people, because what the county's going to do is when they get the new growth is they're going to bring the tax levy down to the amount that includes the 1.5% plus the new growth. If you look at the first two columns here, the 2010 levy is the amount that was approved by the board last December and what was filed with the county. The second column is the extension. That's what the county brought the levy down to in each of the funds. So you can see it went from 17,755 to 17,590. Just simply because when we did the levy, Chris included in an amount for new growth, and he was estimating high, which is what he should have done, and so the county brings it back down. So if we go into 3% or 4% or any number, that's not necessarily going to be the number that we end up with. It's going to be the county's going to bring it down to the maximum allowable amount. What I did when I put this levy together was I looked at the funds and I said which funds need the infusion of cash, and looking at the ending fund balances that we're going to have in IMRF, and Social Security, transportation, I didn't feel that those levies needed to be really any higher than what they were last year. That's why you can see that the 2010 levies in IMRF and Social Security were $250. I put the same number in for this levy. I'm trying to plug the increase into the funds where the money is needed, which is in operations and maintenance and in the education fund. Special education is just a small levy that's a part of the education fund. But it's very insignificant and obviously doesn't even come close to covering the cost of special education.
Is there a reason that all these keep complaining about it? I mean, we have numbers with funds, and now we're levying, and they don't match the numbers with the funds we get every month. Is there a reason that we can't match?
Well, I did change on the sheet that I just passed out. I changed the word bond and interest to debt service, but I think all of the others
Is the operations the building fund?
Yes.
Operations and maintenance.
We call it building on our reports though, right?
Right, that's what Chris had originally labeled it, but the Fund 20 in the state accounting now is called operations and maintenance, is it not?
Well, it varies. Even the treasurer's report, some of the reports say building fund, some of them say operations and maintenance, but I think the,
Our report that I got today says 20 is the building fund.
okay.
My other report farther down in the package doesn't have a building fund, it has a different list of funds.
Operations.
Okay.
So if
I
I
would-
struggle with it and it's a public document, I just think public struggles with it.
Tim will make it
I
consistent
can,
always.
I can make the changes in the financial reports to say operations and maintenance.
Is there a board preference so that we could
It just
agree on
numbers
this
they
tonight
match.
so that we don't?
Just to make sure one matches the other, I would say.
All right.
And so you're getting a little more, so the 1.5% is based on the bottom line of total operating funds, right?
Correct.
That's the cap, and you could allocate whatever you're allowed to increase, which I don't think we show it here.
So you look to the
Well-
far right, second column from the right, bottom.
Okay.
The tax, 1.5% increase would give us 334,000. Then he's got to decide how he wants to break up that 334.
Well, we're going with the new one right now, right?
So if you look, well, he's
You've got
presented
two
both.
variations.
Okay, so the 334, so 1.5%,
334.
334, and then you can allocate the 334 how you want within the
Right.
funds,
The
basically?
334 is the 1.9%.
I'm sorry, but you're, and
But
they'll
it-
bring it down, but,
But yes, you can allocate it to any fund that you want.
okay.
And that's why you've had your two major funds where you feel that you need it.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, and I asked why we didn't do some life safety levying,
Yeah,
because we know we're gonna have to do some life safety work to that stadium if we don't get that construction money, at least just to get us through the 10th year of our life safety before they force us to take out some life safety bonds or go for life safety bonds on that stadium, but Tim felt that we could take that out of the 137 out of the operations and maintenance, if we had to do work to get this through another year.
Okay?
Tim, in some of the sessions from the ISAB that I attended, they always said that, you proposed 1.9, and they had suggested do 4%. No matter how high you go, the state's going to bring it down. But this way, you're never at risk for not capturing something you didn't plan, or store coming in, somebody gave a sample where there was a Home Depot coming in they didn't know, and it was taxed out, and they captured it. Is there a reason why you don't want to go higher?
No, well, that's the reason for the second sheet that shows it at 3%. I mean, that's the idea behind that, is to go higher than the 1.9%, and to go up to 3%.
If any of you went to or plan on going to like the workshop at the III conference on school finance, and they talk about the levy section, and we went through this for about, they'll tell you, listen, the state law is its tax caps are 5%, so when in doubt,
Right. Go higher.
do 5% down the board. And-
Right.
But it does, then it shows your responsibility, and also, are you just trying to over levy every year? And but like when you go to some of those finance workshops and they're talking to smaller school districts that have a superintendent that serves as all parties, they say when in doubt, levy the maximum amount every time so you don't get any money lost.
Right.
Okay, so this is, we're gonna be reading it. We can maybe put it on the cow if you wanna talk about it. Maybe even talk with PMA when they're making their finance presentation, but in December, our December board meeting, we're gonna have to vote on it. Am I right, Tim?
Yes.
Okay.
It cannot ask your questions at the November Committee of the Whole because it has to be, we only have one meeting in December, and it has to be submitted to the county in their hands by the last Tuesday of December. And with the holiday, I'd like to get it there a little earlier.
You never, that's right.
So you want to pass it at the committee of the whole?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's better to approve it at a formal meeting, because we would have to call a special meeting. But I mean, if you have questions or anything, hopefully with PMA, just plan to ask any other questions in November.
Okay.
Committee of the Whole in November.
Okay, our next item on new business is matters for closed session, which will deal with administrative contract, resignation, Attorney leave requests, appointments, collective negotiation matters, litigation, and student discipline. But before we go to closed session, we'd like to have the final two people that stayed around for the meeting, if they want to make any visitors' comments. Please step up. Please state your name and where you're from, not your address.
Renee Foxell, LaGrange Park, and I will be from Kansas City. What I would like to speak with you about is, I have concern about the school not meeting the needs of our advanced math students. And I understand with, the budget constraints, but as you're working on this budgeting process going forward, with them not having been able to take the Calculus BC, our advanced students really do not have a rigorous math course that's in the normal progression when it comes to their fourth year. And I think that is really lacking for them. Also, the other thing is with the elimination of the math team, our advanced math students had been competing at that, and that giving them another area on that. And I would like for consideration for that to be reinstituted. Perfectly honest, I still really am kind of dismayed that it was even eliminated. And I know that the policy had been put in to be able to do that with private funding, and I guess naively I kind of thought that coming up with the money would be the challenging part, but actually what we have found is navigating the bureaucracy of getting it going is the more difficult part on that. And so those are just a few things I'd like you to look at as you go forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak? How about the camera people? Okay.
I want to make sure before we read the closed session,
Yeah.
since we have appointments already, we're able to add item to the closed session agenda when we get there, right?
What do you want to add?
I want to add the appointment of a math club sponsor to the list.
That would be covered by the motion.
Well, yeah, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that people agree with that,
Well-
so we can do, because we can amend it in open session.
Says employment, yeah.
We're covered.
Okay, okay, do I have a motion? Gary, do I have a motion?
Sure. Resolved that the Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois, enters closed session for the purpose of considering appointment, employment, or dismissal of employees, collective bargaining issues, litigation, and student discipline.
Have a second?
Second.
Mary Ann?
Mr. Welch,
Yes.
Mr. Gritchen,
Yes.
Ms. Ruska,
Yes.
Dr. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Cindy.
Yes. Before we shut off the cameras, our next committee of the whole meeting, which will be also taped for everybody that are watching this right now, will be on November 22nd. It'll be a Tuesday night, Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and that'll be at 7 o'clock, and it'll be up in Lahotsky Room. So thank you, and have a good night.